This tutorial is for MLA Report number 2 assignment. We're going to open Microsoft Word and do a new blank document. It would be helpful if you had your report notes in front of you so that you can see the steps on how to make changes. First thing we want to do is set up our document. We need to change our style to no spacing. Then we need to check our margins to be sure that they are set to 1 inch. We go to the Page Layout tab, Page Setup group, click the Margins button, and choose Normal as our setting, which is 1 inch top, bottom, left, and right. Next, we will set our font to Times New Roman 12 point. And then our line spacing will be set to 2.0. We also need to make sure that widow-orphan protection is turned on. To do that, you go to your Home tab and launch the Paragraph group. Click on the Line and Page Breaks tab and make sure there's a check mark next to widow-orphan control. Then click on OK. Once we have those basic settings done, we're ready to add our header that will appear at the top of every page. To add our header, we go to the Insert tab, Header and Footer group, click on the Header button, and go down to Edit Header. Now once we're in our header, if you click on the Home tab, you'll notice that your font is Calibri 11. We need to change that to Times New Roman 12 point. Then we're going to right align and key in your last name. Then you'll hit your space bar. And then we need to put in a page numbering code. The page numbering code can be found by going to the Insert tab, Header and Footer group, Page Number button, and you'll choose Current Position, Plain Number. That adds a number 1. If we were to go to page 2, it would show a number 2. And be sure that this last name is your last name, not the word's last name. We're finished with our header. So if we go to Header and Footer Tools Design, we can click on Close Header and Footer. The next part of our report would be to put the heading that appears at the top of page 1. There are 4 lines to this heading. The first line is your name, first and last name. Then you'll press Enter 1 time. Your line spacing is on double, so it looks like we did a double space. Next, you'll put your teacher's name. Now, this report is for me, so you'll put Mrs. Josie Reno. Third line is your class name. And we also want to add our class period. The fourth line is the date, and we need to remember that the date for an MLA report would have the day first, space, then the month, space, then the year. Make sure you use the current date, not the date that's on this video necessarily. After we put in the heading for page 1, we'll press Enter 1 time, center, align our document, so Control E, and then we'll put in the title that goes for this report. And the title for Report 2 is Manners and Business Etiquette. After the title, we press Enter 1 time and change our alignment back to left align, Control L. Now we're ready to key the body of our report. If you're doing this here at the school, I do have the text keyed in and on the shared drive, so you can access that. If you're doing this from home, you can find the text in Canvas. You'll just have to key the text in on your own. I'm assuming that most of us are doing this at the school, so let me walk you through inputting the body. We're going to go to the Insert tab, then we'll go to the Text group, and here is our Objects button with a drop-down arrow. We're going to click on the drop-down arrow and choose Text from File. And then we need to navigate to the Shared Drive, Students folder, Business Shared Drive folder, Computer Tech 1 folder, Reports folder, and then Report to Text, and click on Insert. Now if this text is inserted and it's not in the correct format, which it appears that way here, the font is a different font, do Control A to select everything on your document. Then you can go to the Home tab and change your lines or change your font to Times New Roman and 12 point. And then also make sure your line spacing is set to 2.0. And that should fix that issue. Now I do not have this text keyed in with indents in front of paragraphs or anything, so you'll need to compare your text with the text in your instructions to find where the paragraphs begin and where we need to put in text citations. So we're going to click in front of the G in Good Manners and press our Tab key. That is the first paragraph. Now inside this first paragraph we do have a direct quote. It ends on the third line where it says show up for work on time, period, quotation mark. We're going to add a space at the end of that and put in the citation job, page 32, in parentheses. Paragraph 2 begins with when you arrive for an interview. Click in front of that and press your Tab key one time. The next paragraph begins when you meet the manager, smile, offer a friendly greeting. Tab in front of that. And then another paragraph begins once in the manager's office. Press Tab in front of that one. And then here are some tips that will be helpful to you. That's the next one. Now we also have a numbered list that is being added to this one, and it starts with this line, always accept a soft drink. Now I need to highlight all of the lines that go in this numbered list so that I can convert them to a numbered list. But I've got this top and bottom margin here of my pages in the way. So if I move my mouse on top of this blue area between the two pages and double click, it will hide those margins so I can see just the text, and it makes it a little easier to work with. Now I also need to have my ruler showing for this next part. If yours is not showing, you'll click on the View tab, and then in the Show group, place a check mark next to Ruler. Okay, we're going to highlight from Always Accept a Soft Drink down to Do Not Carry Your Coat into the Manager's Office, and we're going to finish with the line that you cannot wait to get out of there. Those are the lines we want to have highlighted. With these lines highlighted, we're going to turn on our line numbering. That is found on the Home tab, Paragraph group. The second button here on the top is numbering. We're going to use the default numbering, so just click the button once. Now the spacing between the numbers and the text is not what we want it to be set at for our report. So using our ruler, we're going to adjust that. We're going to bring our mouse up here. Notice we have two triangles here. The triangle that has a rectangle attached to the bottom of it, that is your left indent, which is controlling where the text is. So this little portion controls the text. This little portion controls where the number is. We want to come on top of the text one first, click and hold, and drag it over to 1 inch. Then we want to come up to the number one, the first line indent, click and hold, and drag that back to a 1/2 inch. So our numbers are on a 1/2 inch, and then all of the text is on 1 inch. And that gets our placement correct for our numbered list. Now we do have a direct quote here, or this numbered list is a reference. So after number 10, where we have get out of there exclamation point, we're going to add a space, and in parentheses put the reference Richmond page 75. Richmond 75. Our next paragraph, managers agree. We're going to press our tab key in front of to indent. And then our very last paragraph here, give me someone who is really enthusiastic and motivated. This is a long quote. So we're going to highlight all of that, and then we need to indent it 1 inch. Now we can do the indent using our ruler since we have that open. If we move our mouse on top of the little rectangle that's underneath the two triangles, that controls our left indent. We can click and hold and drag that over to 1 inch, and that indents our paragraph. Now, if we have extra space down beneath our report, we want a backspace to get rid of that, and then we want to start a new page. And to do that, we want to insert a page break. To add a page break, you'll hold down your Control key and press your Enter key, and that starts a new page. Now, I do have my margins hidden right now, so it looks like we just went down a little bit. If I move my mouse on top of that line and then double click, that expands those margins again so that I can see my full top and bottom of my page. Now, looking at my ruler, I still have my left indent at 1 inch. I need to remove that or pull it back over to the margin. So I'm going to click and hold on the left indent and drag it back to the margin there, right at the gray part. Then we're going to center and key our heading Works Cited. You'll press Enter 1 time and change your alignment back to left align with a Control L. And then we have 2 references for our report. We do need to turn on a hanging indent. The keyboard shortcut for a hanging indent is Control and then the letter T. It doesn't look any different here on our screen once we do that, but if you look at your ruler, notice that the first line marker, the first line indent marker, is still against the margin, but the left indent marker is at a 1/2 inch. That means the first line will be right here against the margin, and every other line will be indented 1/2 inch, which is what we want for a hanging indent. Our first source is the Job Hunting Handbook, and where it starts with the word "the," we get to ignore that, but we do need to turn on our italics. So we have Job Hunting Handbook, space twice after the colon, Job Outlook to 2005. Turn your italics off, put a period, space 2 times. Then we do volume period, space 23, period, space 2 times. Then we have the publisher, Dahlstrom and Company, comma, space 1997, period, space twice, and then we have the word print. Now this is a short reference, so it does not go on to a second line. We'll press Enter now that we're at the end of the reference. And then our next one, we have an author's name, and our italics turned itself back on because Job Hunting Handbook was italicized. We don't want the italics on yet, so we're going to turn them off, Control I, and then we'll key in Richmond, comma, Leslie, S period, space twice, and then in quotation marks, dangerous attitudes for employment searches, period, close quote, space twice. Then we'll turn our italics on and key in fortune, turn your italics off, period, space twice, 30 May 1998, period, space twice, print, period. And that's all of our works cited. Now we're going to save this, do a file and save as. Be sure you save it in your F drive, in your computer tech folder, in your Word folder, and name it Report 2. And then we need to convert this to a PDF. We do that by going to File, and then down to Export, Create PDF. You can leave it in the same location and keep the name as Report 2, and then click on Publish. And then you'll go into Canvas and submit your PDF version of this file to be graded.